All the dust and iron sand bits this is made of, they're rubbing against each other and have been storing up an electrical charge. Now, if I were to take all of that accumulated electricity and use it to fire off an iron sandblast, I could bust right through your armor, like so!
Hello everybody, X here, back at it again to give you another very exciting video. For today, yes, I'm bringing my double-in-one finale review over A Certain Scientific Railgun T, episode 24 being Diffusion, and episode 25 being My Dear Friends. And if you hadn't already done so, you can go ahead and click that corner to check out my episode 23 review if you hadn't, you happen to miss it. I know it's been a while since I, last posted that review before y'all dive into my 24 and 25 double header review. And man, I gotta say, you know what, these last two episodes, or especially episode 24 in particular, oh goodness, man, that was just a ton of action to be able to take in. Some really nice animation and also some really good CGI effect in use for that episode in particular though. And then 25 was basically like a wrap-up episode, concluded a lot of different stuff that happened within this arc, as well as went back and kind of filled in some gaps a little bit with what happened within the Daihase Festival arc as well. So some really good stuff within these two episodes. So you know what, let's just go ahead and get up into it though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight up into this episode review of A Certain Scientific Railgun T, starting with episode 24. Misaka has had a few other impressive power displays during this arc, but this is the first time since she nearly achieved divinity back during the climax of the Daihase Festival arc that she has cut loose to the maximum level of her ability. And I think the first time that she has done so while under control of herself this series. In doing this, she shows once again that why she is one of my favorite characters in this franchise to watch in action scenes. Accelerator might have an edge over her in power and versatility when he isn't hampered by his injury, but the way Misaka moves, adapts, and fights just seems a bit more dynamic, and boy, does she have a new trick to show off in this episode. Manipulating iron sand for use for her attack and shielding is not anything new for Misaka. She did it quite effectively back when Sugita and Toma were trying to keep her in check. However, I don't recall her doing anything close to the feat that she pulls off in this episode, forming it up into a giant golem-like creature to combat the other giant golem-like creature created by Doppelganger. Honestly, that was pretty cool even without figuring in what looked like enhanced railgun shots, and the CG animation used for both golems was even respectable. The action up on the airship did not disappoint either, though the trick of making hordes of duplicates might be a little overdone by this point. The element of this episode which honestly shocked me the most and made me quite pleased was seeing the scavengers come back into play. Misaka would not have been in any real danger herself without them, but they unquestionably saved Ryoko during her suicide stunt, and Leader's spotting was a significant help to Misaka to battling Doppelganger. Seems like Leader has some principles after all, although their positive portrayal in this scene does not at all wash out the ugly business that they were involved in back in Accelerator. They're still absolutely dark side, even if they were helpful this time around. The element of this episode which leaves me the most mixed feelings is Ryoko's behavior. Although her backstory was covered in episode 22, she couched her views about Doppelganger in terms of risk factors and never elaborated much about how she actually felt about Doppelganger or the duality of her existence of having memories from two separate bodies. This is a big missed opportunity, but it admittedly would not have fit well into the present plot and pacing. still the attitude behind her trying to commit suicide by allowing herself to fall off of the airship seemed to have a little, very little foundation. But overall, for a heavy action-packed episode, this episode was stellar, and we get to start to see the conclusion of this fight within the next episode. And that's basically all I have to say. But man, this episode though, it was hitting on every single string and chord in terms of all this action stuff. I did not expect to see really good CGI scenes portrayed that well within Railgun T in this episode, because for the most part you be looking around at other animes and anytime they have that CGI stuff, or maybe they have like a CGI sort of kind of thing that's within like the ending song at the end of every single episode, most CGI within anime isn't done to like to an incredible degree or nothing like that though. But the way how they portray this within this episode, I don't know, it was hidden, and just seeing those two Goliaths kind of fight it and duke it out like that, like, goodness, it almost kind of gave me some vibes of like Godzilla kind of going back and forth, fighting some other, big creatures like King Kong or something like that though. That kind of CGI though, but obviously, you don't have that high and same budget though. But that's just kind of throwing that little example right there though. But honestly, I was feeling that hype between those two battles between Misaka and the doppelganger like that though. So that was basically like the big highlight for me though. But I really did like it when Scavenger and the rest of the crew managed to come back with the assist, because I honestly thought that they were going to hightail it out of there and not even try to come back and try to assist Misaka. I thought their job was done. But the matter of fact, they showed back up, and Leader cared enough and felt just enough of a connection between herself and Misaka that the matter of fact, what, let me help this girl out. She helped me, let me return the favor and let me help this girl out. You know what, that really kind of spoke to me, and it was something I did not expect, but it was something that was greatly appreciated though. So those are some of the critical things I liked so much about episode 24 within this episode though. So that's basically all I have to say about my thoughts so far on episode 24, but y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what all do you think about episode 24 and how it kind of left you with your lasting impressions before we transition over into episode 25. Make sure you leave those comments down in the comment section down below though. But that about does it in terms of my review for episode 24, but don't go anywhere. Make sure to grab a snack, grab a drink, get comfortable, as I'm about to get ready to start off the second part of my doubleheader review for my final thoughts over episode 25.
Watch your 5! That one's probably the main unit! Hold on! Your line of fires! I have no soul. Continuing to exist within a form that does not allow any reprieve from that is torture. Please. If this is what you want.
With episode 25, A Certain Scientific Railgun T concludes both the Dream Ranker arc and the series as a whole. It does not do so with the kind of visual spectacle the last episode was, beyond the opening scene anyway, but rather by showing the ultimate results of Doppelganger's project from a variety of angles. It also clears up some lingering matters from the series' first arc. While the episode is not as comprehensive in wrapping things up as I might have hoped for, it nonetheless puts a feel-good cap on things and provides a generally satisfying conclusion for now. Last episode suggests that Doppelganger might ultimately be on a nihilistic bent, but the beginning of the episode absolutely confirms it. She is not trying to replace Ryoko, but rather she cannot live with the understanding that she is artificial and thus does not have a soul. So she is seeking out not only to get around her suicide prevention programming, but is also trying to make sure that no one else is able to access the data necessary to easily redo the experiment. The irony is the forcing Misaka into a situation where she must destroy Doppelganger may have ultimately saved Ryoko's life, as it is meant that the perfect replacement parts to mend Ryoko after she gets shot are right at hand. Hence, Ryoko winds up partly back where she has been before, with a lot of mixed feelings over the matter. The dream Ryoko has leaves vague hints as to whether or not Doppelganger really did have a soul, but I believe this scene allows Ryoko to come to good terms between her and the Doppelganger. Shokuho tying up some loose ends of the project director should put an end to that project, and Ryoko is now left with time to recuperate and ponder. But where does that leave the Indian poker? Does it continue now that its source is gone and its purpose served? The writing does not provide even a hint about that, which leaves it as one of the biggest loose ends within this episode. And honestly, sitting back and thinking about it now, it's like, gosh dang, like that's what we originally kind of started the whole entire arc off with, was the Indian poker, and we thought that might have been the core of the whole entire problem. While it was a piece of the puzzle, it wasn't necessarily the whole entire pie. So that is definitely one big missed opportunity right there though. But the episode does deal with some other loose ends. It finally brings Misaka 10,032 back into the picture, now fully recovered. The experience with Doppelganger likely gave Misaka some food for thought concerning the sisters. Do they have souls? But Misaka specifically calling Misaka 10,032 a sister is still a big step forward. Bringing the now fully recovered Kongo back into the scene and having her meet the clone she fought so hard for was a great touch, as was her sheepish reaction to being thanked. Revisiting Dolly with Midori at the aquarium does not quite close out that piece of the story, but at least allows it to be set aside for now. The scavengers managing to bargain for a better position was also a welcome move after what they went through. I was not impressed with them within a certain scientific accelerator, but they, especially Leader, have grown on me here. So I hope this isn't the last within the franchise that we'll be able to see them. And lastly, seeing Satin and Uriharu finally, knowingly, meet Shokuho was also amusing. And gosh, that whole entire scene right there, just seeing Shokuho kind of tease Kuroko over there while they were talking about how close Misaka and Shokuho have been getting, at least within the second arc within this third season, was actually pretty funny. And then just seeing Uriharu and Satin kind of going crazy over finally beating Shoko like that was just a nice little scene right there. That's one thing that Railgun T always does pretty well, is that downtime though. So this season ends on exactly the note it should. After spending most of the series functioning independently, Misaka, Kuroko, Uriharu, and Satin are all back together again for some peaceful downtime. It would not last long, as chronologically speaking, the Aqua of the Black Arc, episode 7 and 9 of Certain Magical Index 3, happens shortly after this one ends, and Misaka has a stressful part to play in that. There is more content to be animated, but sadly I suspect we will not see more here unless the main series gets additional animation. Throughout this third season of Railgun, I found this to be the best made and most involved of the franchise's 3 branches to date. And that's basically all I have to say about Railgun T episode 25. So overall, this is, that concluding episode where we got to conclude a lot of different characters. We got to see some conclusion with the Doppelganger, and we got to see Ryoko and how she kind of, came to terms with herself, with the whole Doppelganger experience and stuff. And then we got to see, Misaka, come to terms with, all of her reactions with Ryoko, the Doppelganger. Basically got to see a little funny little reaction between her reactions and Shokuho, which is something really interesting I want to take a little bit of time to talk about. Is because within the first half of the third season, Misaka and Shokuho have been going, butting heads for the most part though. And then in the second part, they were sort of kind of tag teaming quite well. And they're sort of kind of getting along where it's like, I have mutual respect for you. You have mutual respect for me. We might not see quite eye to eye, but at the end of the day, if we have to, stick together and, put our differences aside to get a common goal done, hey, we'll be willing to do that. It kind of reminds me, honestly, a lot of Goku and Vegeta back when in Dragon Ball Z. Those two were always butting heads together, but if the sake of the world or, the people they love were, in danger and whatnot, you know, where they're able to put aside their differences to be able to fight that one common goal. That's honestly the sort of kind of vibe I'm sort of getting between Misaka and Shokuho. Like, they butt heads, but they're starting to get a little bit closer and not butt heads as often as what they did within that third season, or honestly way back within like the tail ending season of Railgun S. So that's something that's been really interesting to kind of see play out though. But honestly, you know what? We got to end this note off on a great note though. So y'all gotta let me know down in the comment sections down below, what all do you think about episode 25 of Railgun T, and what kind of lasting, you know, impressions did that give you as that being the last episode within this third season, y'all. So y'all just gotta let me know all your thoughts down in that comment section down below though. But that about does it in terms of my final thoughts over episode 25 of Railgun T.
Oh, there you are, Sissy. You kept us waiting. So I was thinking, since we're all around, why don't we go out and get something good to eat?
Oh, I know a place. There's a cafe around here from an urban legend that I've been dying to check out.
Excuse me, Sutton. Man, you never learn, do you?
What? I was just kidding.
No, you weren't. You're always like this.
Anywhere is fine, as long as we're all together. Okay, let's go.
So I just want to say thank y'all so much for being able to sit here and listen to any out of all of my Certain Scientific Railgun T reviews that I've been doing for the length of this third season, y'all. It's been a really good, fun blast just sitting here and just discussing all things Railgun with y'all. I just want to say thank you all as well, you know, dealing with COVID and everything else that's been pushing a lot of these reviews and episodes on delays and holds. And I just want to say thank y'all for y'all's patience dealing with all of that as well, y'all. Misaka has been growing so much as a character as well, and honestly it's just been a really good ride just seeing all of this, her interactions with Shokuho and everybody else, y'all. If you really like this video, go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things anime I feel like discussing, y'all. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.